everyone, my name is Alva Kelly. I'm a graduate from Trinity and I did Erasmus in Milan in the 2019-2020 academic year. I have a physical disability, so I use a manual wheelchair most of the time. I'm going to give you guys some advice surrounding my experience with Erasmus when you have a disability. So the first things first, I would highly recommend starting to research and plan for your Erasmus as early as possible. So even if at this stage you're not really sure if you're definitely going to go on Erasmus, it's really worthwhile putting in the planning and research in advance. Obviously, depending on what kind of disability you have, you'll be looking for different things in a university and in a city. And the more time you give yourself to do this, the more likely it is that you'll have a really smooth Erasmus experience. So in order to do this, I'd highly recommend arranging a meeting with your disability officer and with your Erasmus coordinator, as they can help you to get in touch with key people at the different universities in order to get answers surrounding what kind of supports you can avail of. So my disability officer contacted the disability services in the different universities that I was considering, so I got to get a really good idea of which university was the best fit for me. And my Erasmus coordinator got in touch with contacts at different universities in Italy as well. So it just means that you can make a really informed decision and be confident that you're going to a university that suits you and your needs. Second thing I'd like to talk about is the additional funding that you may be eligible for if you are going on Erasmus with a disability. So you can apply for additional funding to cover the costs that you incur that are related to your disability. For example, I was able to avail of funding to cover having an extra person travel with me to and from my host country, and I was also able to apply for funding to cover the costs of wheelchair maintenance and repairs and additional equipment that I needed to purchase for my wheelchair while I was away, as well as costs related to transport in cases where public transport just wasn't accessible for me. You do need to apply for this before you go on Erasmus, before your Erasmus begins, so that's another area where it does help to be as organised as possible and to be planning your Erasmus in advance. And the final thing that I'd recommend is when you actually arrive at your host university, it would be great if you can arrange to meet with the disability service there and just go over your needs, maybe what modules you're taking, what classrooms you're going to be in, if you need to get the lecture slides in advance, different things like that, just to ensure that there are no hiccups along the way. And I was able to get a contact number for someone in the disability service, so for example, if a lift was broken, I could use that number to get assistance. So all of these things should just help to make your experience that bit smoother. I'd really recommend, if you are thinking about Erasmus, doing it. It's just such an amazing experience. It's a great way to meet new people, make new friends, and experience a different culture and what it's like to live and study in a different country. Don't see having a disability as an obstacle to doing this. It really is not. There are so many supports that you can avail of, so many different people that can help you. So it's definitely not a reason not to do Erasmus based on my experience. I hope that was helpful, and I hope that you all go on to have fantastic Erasmus experiences.